Hello, so in this video we're going to take a look at installing a CentOS machine, kind of add another machine to our mix of, to our collection of what we've been working with so far. I'd also like to start with configuring our network to be a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more complicated. Right now, between the three machines we have, we've configured a relatively flat network. They all kind of directly see each other, and eventually we'll work towards configuring this CentOS machine to be a router and have a bit more of a sophisticated network configuration. So I'm kind of going to do two things at once. The first will be I'm going to start up all of my machines and start getting them configured to be prepared for the router, as well as get the CentOS installed all in this video here. So I'm going to do this by starting by creating a new machine. We'll make it a CentOS, and I'll call this one CentOS number 1. I'll leave the defaults for this. CentOS is another build that currently runs without a GUI, so it's pretty happy with only 1 gig of RAM. We'll create a new virtual hard disk. I'll leave it as a VDI, sure. Dynamically allocated is good for us. 8 gigs is fine. Pretty much just have the defaults for this. Before I get it turned on like before, I'm going to put it on my internal network, just like my other machine. So I'm going to go to my network settings and change attach to from NAT to internal network. I'm also going to have an additional network adapter for this guy. So because this guy's going to act as a router, he will be able to separate one side of my network with one adapter and the other side of my network with another adapter. So in my adapter settings, I'll enable another network and also make this one an internal network adapter. So I have an adapter 1 and adapter 2 both on my internal network. I'm also going to head over to storage and add in the ISO. So I'll right click on this guy and remove the empty attachment and hit my little plus disk icon, add an optical disk, and choose an optical disk here off of my resources folder. I had a CentOS ISO, and we'll say open, so I put my CentOS ISO in the drive. This should be pretty good for our defaults, and I'll go ahead and I'll say start this guy. We'll turn him on for the first time, and I've already got my other machines kind of turned on waiting in the background. So CentOS is another computer that really likes to grab your mouse, and then I'm moving my mouse around right now and it's completely grabbed. So if you have that capture feature enabled, be sure to remember what your host key is. So if I hit my host key, for me it's F10, for you it's probably right control. You'll be able to release your mouse a lot, and you'll have to do that quite a bit if you have mouse capture turned on. Otherwise, everything's run completely off the keyboard. Right now my screen is really small like before, so I'm going to switch my view to a scaled mode to allow me to kind of stretch this guy out. So choose whatever view is appropriate for you. We've done some views in previous videos, so hopefully you're comfortable with that. But otherwise, I'll click inside my box and everything is with the arrow keys, and it's wherever the white, whichever one's highlighted in white, that's the option you currently have selected right now. And I am actually going to do the install CentOS 7. And I'll start jumping through, get some of the initial settings set up, and then when we get to the main loading bar portion of this, when it wants to kind of just go and install the system, that's when I'll switch over to my other machines and talk a little bit about how I'm going to change the network configuration and how I'm going to make my network, or have the option to have my network a bit more sophisticated than what I currently have. So my installer is just about ready to set up. Let's see. Here we go. I will have a mouse as I go through the installation, but afterwards that'll pretty much be it with the mouse. Everything's going to kind of run off the terminal, just like with Metasploitable. So I've got English and English. Go ahead and say continue to that. And it's going to kind of scan and say, hey, this is all the stuff that we have. The only one you're going to have to double check is the system, the installation destination. We do want that to be our hard drive that we have. So you don't have to change anything in here. You just have to kind of click and confirm. So once I've clicked on this, it's like, yes, this is my 8 gigabyte hard drive I just selected, and I'm just going to say done to say, yes, I don't want to change this, but I'm happy with this being the location where I'm going to install Cent to. Everything else I can just leave as the defaults, and I'll say begin installation. Another thing that Cent allows you to do as the installation loading bars start to happen for the next few minutes is you can create some accounts and set a root password. So I will do that. I'm going to go to my root password, and I'm just going to have something simple as password. I don't want to forget this, so just like before, I'll kind of have everything as password. And it says at the bottom, hey, this is a weak password. I know, that's fine. I'm just going to click done twice to kind of confirm that I do want that to actually be my password. I'll also create a user in this process as well. Kind of like my Ubuntu machine, I'll call this guy NSA. Sure, I'll make this guy an administrator. And also, I'll just make him have password as his password. Just something simple so we can kind of keep track of that. So that'll, as we install the system and create this, it'll also make a user in this process. So that's kind of a nice little feature about Cent. And the rest of this, you kind of see it says out of 300. It's got a whole bunch of things to go through and install, and that's fine. I'm going to hit my host key here to get my mouse back, and just kind of move this guy off to the side and let him go. When he finally finishes installation, he'll want to reboot, but I'm just going to leave that in the background and talk a little bit more about what I've got going on here on my other machines. So I'll log into my Kali machine using my root and password. I'll log into my my Ubuntu machine as well as my Metasploitable machine and get a terminal all up and running on these guys right now. So the thing that I'm interested in this video is to take a look at the networking. We're trying to make our network a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more robust of a configuration, and that will allow us to switch between a flat network as opposed to something that actually has some routing going on. So if you remember kind of where we left off in the previous video of static configuration, if I just do an IPA or an ifconfig kind of across all my machines, we should hopefully see IPA will pop open a terminal. You should hopefully see here in these windows how we left off with our Metasploitable machine being 192.168.1.101, and then our Ubuntu was 102, and finally our Kali machine was a 103. And remember, this is a /24. This was a 255.255.255.0 network at Class C, which means all three of these machines are currently connected to 192.168.1 as their network. That's the network that all these guys are currently connected to. And we tried pinging across these. I could ping any one of these machines. They can all directly see each other through a ping. What we'd like to do now is to say, hey, this Metasploitable guy, he's actually running a server. He's actually running a few different servers, and we'd like him to be on a different network. Okay, so I'd like to switch the networking occasionally based on what we're doing in these videos from the 192.168.1 network, where he's directly connected to the other two, to actually being behind a router. So he's going to be in a more sophisticated setup behind a router on a different network entirely. And that's where, when CentOS finishes, we'll put CentOS in the middle as the actual router. So if you remember, we changed a lot of these settings through the interfaces file. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to modify that file right now. So I'm going to go sudo, you can use nano or vi or vim or whatever. I'll just use nano, sudo nano, remember that was /etc/network/interfaces. And then I type in my MSF admin password. And through here, you remember this is where we statically configured to be on the 192.168.1.101 network, all right? And so the big difference here is going to be I'm no longer going to be on the 192.168.1 network. I'm going to switch to be on a 192.168.2 network. So I'm going to switch my networking over. Addition to this, I'm also going to add in a new line. I'm going to add in a gateway. The gateway is going to be the router that I'm going to create as well. So I'm going to add in another entry here, gateway, and I'll put him at 192.168.2.1. Now this address doesn't exist yet because our router hasn't been set up and configured, but we'll remember that. I'm going to configure one of those network cards that I added for my CentOS machine to be the internal router on the 192.168.2 network. I'll hit Control X, Y, and Enter to actually save these changes. Now, have my changes gone through yet? You should know, no, they haven't, not until I restart the service. So I'll do a sudo /etc/ remember this was initd /networking, and then we do a restart command, okay, /network, restart, I got init.d, networking, here we go, restart. After this, now I go and I do a IPA, and we should hopefully see, yes, indeed, my 192.168.2.101 network, I'm now on a different network. So what's going to happen when I try pinging these other guys, 192.168.1. let's say 102, I try pinging my Ubuntu machine, and I end up getting no responses. I'm not getting any reachable destination because I've currently configured myself to be on a different router, and I do not have any, or a different network, excuse me, and there's no router in between to actually connect it to. So that's going to be important to kind of realize what I've done with these two machines. Next will be to understand that these two guys are going to be kind of on the other side of the network, and they're going to be on a different configuration. So they're going to stay on 192.168.1, but they currently don't have the gateway. So there's going to be a gateway that connects to the 192.168.2 and the 192.168.1. That will be the additional network adapter that we put into CentOS. So just like before, I am going to have to reconfigure these guys. by going in and changing my /etc/network/interfaces. And I will keep him at 192.168.1, but I'm going to actually add him in to have a gateway. And this is what we're going to set up for these guys on the other network card, 192.168.1.1. Okay, and that will be a good spot for him. So I'll hit Control X, Y, Enter, and then like before, we'll restart the service /etc/init.d. I'll spell it correctly this time. Networking restart. So all that I'm doing with my with my Kali machine as well as my Ubuntu machine, sudo nano /etc/network/interfaces, is I'm setting it up to be ready to actually have that gateway. I'm not actually putting them on a different network. I'm just allowing for the gateway change. .168.1.1. Hit Control X, Y, Enter. And just like before, sudo /etc/init.d/networking restart. Okay, so hopefully now I'm still connected to the same network. I still have my 192.168.1.102. These guys are still online and live. They're not able to reach the Metasploitable machine, but they're now waiting for that gateway. So when I get that gateway, they will actually be able to leave our networks and do some routing. Why don't we test this trying to ping on this guy over to the Ubuntu machine, 168.1.102, and you see these guys can actually see each other. So their networking has not changed. They can still see each other. They're ready to accept a gateway, which just hasn't been set up or configured yet, but the Metasploitable machine is currently offline. They don't have visibility to him. Okay, so let's check over here on him. All right, so my CentOS machine is still running, still doing the installs, probably finishing up here pretty soon. So I'll just skip ahead in the video, and we'll do the reboot when he's ready to come back.